Hello, everybody. I hope your day is going swell. It is once again time for another Mods Monthly where we check out some of the coolest mods to come out for Fallout 4 within the past month. This time we're checking out September's releases, and for once, it actually has felt like a month has passed. A little contrary to the normal intro, I know. Usually it feels like these things speed by, but I feel like we've actually had a lot of really cool releases, so many so that I made some individual videos to cover them because I didn't want to miss out on anything super cool in these monthlies, but I always end up missing something. Either way, we've got a nice little variety. We are back with some weapon mods this time around. I know that either last month or the month before we didn't have a lot, but this time we've got a few, and the ones that I've picked are pretty notable in one way or another for cool factors. But there's also a brand new power armor mod that I think a lot of you are really going to enjoy, as well as I don't even know how to classify this one, to be honest. I think the best thing would be to call it a companion mod, but it is functionally a little different. You'll see when we get there. It's interesting, and once again, I think it's one that a lot of you guys will enjoy out of its sheer goofiness. So, I suppose we should go ahead and jump in. First things first, though, I do want to give a big thank you to all of the viewers as of late. Your support on these videos has been phenomenal, and a special thank you to all of my patrons as well who support me in that way. You guys are amazing, and I don't know what I would do without you. You help me keep these videos going, as well as all the mods I make, so I appreciate you guys to no end. Every single one of you, everybody watching the videos, downloading the mods, you guys are all amazing. And I love seeing all of your supportive comments as well. Well, somebody said some really nice stuff in the last video, so I appreciate that stuff quite a lot. So, either way, I just wanted to thank you guys once again for watching. So, here's some more content, I guess. First of all, we have a brand new energy weapon that is pretty freaking unique, and that is going to be known as the Support Laser Rifle, or the AESW3, by Princess Ares. Ares typically makes armor mods, or now they're kind of reaching into the creature mod category, but they have made a new weapon mod that is pretty unique and interesting. I think it is always fun to see weapons, especially energy weapons, being made by people who don't normally do gun mods because they bring a totally new mindset into it with a unique creativity that allows them to create something that is very much out of the norm. And in this case, well, we're definitely out of the norm. This is going to be making a G11-esque laser LMG into your game. So, something you probably never thought you needed, but essentially, if you can imagine how the magazine for a G11 works, where it is sideways up at the top, and it kind of slots in and reciprocates, all of that is still true, but instead of a magazine, it is a fusion core, and the laser rifle is underneath that gigantic apparatus, making for a pretty big and bulky weapon, but one that looks super cool. This thing uses a fusion core, so that means you're getting 500 rounds, but they are pretty low damage, and I'm not going to lie, pretty inaccurate. I almost want to say too inaccurate, but I haven't spent time min-maxing the attachments for the best possible accuracy combo, so use that with a grain of salt. You may be able to find a set that actually works perfectly. I just kind of made stuff that looked cool for the video. Maybe I should spend some more time playing with this to see what kind of better attachment setups I can make for stats. Either way, even with its inaccuracy, you have such an amount of rounds, and also with the upgrades for damage, you can get this thing to spit out some pretty good damage, especially if you kind of face tank your enemies and get really up close and personal. This thing will just spew out lasers and other projectiles so freaking fast that they won't know what hit them. Now, sometimes you can have a little bit of trouble hitting things, especially when you're getting a lot of body shots, but if you can really get up close and nail the headshots, it does phenomenal work. This thing is going to be using custom assets in terms of a lot of the models, but it is also going to use some NIF-bashed assets, but I think that it is all vanilla textures, which what that means for you is some really cool new-looking stuff, but with a fitting vanilla style and also a very small file size for your game. This entire mod clocks in at only 16 megabytes on PC. That's not even compressed for Xbox yet, so it gets even smaller for you console users. And that includes custom animations, of course, which is a really good plus. And it does use, I think, the original G11 animations as a base, but they've been heavily modified since then to include a bunch of fun switches and dials that you use on the startup when you raise or lower this weapon, and all of that put together is just phenomenal. It even has the cool little wind-up thing. I like it a lot. This is a very, very cool, unique, and fun weapon mod. It does not come with any uniques, sadly. There is only the base weapon, so what you see is kind of what you get on this one. I don't know that Ares has done a unique before. That is something I would maybe like to see from them one day, though. But for now, you will at least get this base weapon, and it is level-less injected, so you will find this out in the world. It'll spawn on Brotherhood of Steel soldiers and gunners after level 20, and you can purchase it from vendors as well. Overall, a pretty nice and sweet weapon mod. I could talk about this one for quite a while, but we gotta get on to some of the other stuff in this video. The next mod we're checking out is known as the Warcat by Sesko, otherwise known as Valesi. Not sure which username they prefer, but this is going to add a new sort of companion, per se, to the game, which is a cat piloting a robot flying, maybe robot's not the right word, a small aerial vehicle that can kind of hover around you, and it's equipped with a little minigun that it uses. And it's super cool. There's a little cat in there with a helmet on, and it's really, really neat. It's got a green paint job with a shark tooth and eye, kind of like old school plain paint jobs. But since the mod has come out, it's actually received an update to add a second little companion known as the Atom Cat, which has a nice pompadour haircut and pilots a red version of this little ship with flames on it. And that's pretty stinking cool. Never did I know that I needed a cat UFO companion, but now that we have it, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not going to lie. Now, when it comes to how this functions as a companion, it's pretty interesting because it's not using the typical companion system. You don't go recruit it from anywhere in particular. You actually craft a little holotape at the chemistry station, and then from there you can use that to summon the little cat, as well as give it certain commands, like if it's going to follow you or leave you, and other things. Then, once it is in your following status, it behaves sort of like a regular companion after that. Kind of. But I think that the big thing with how it works with this system is that it doesn't take up a companion slot, as far as I can tell. I was able to have both of these guys with me at the same time, and I assume that that works with your normal companions as well, so you could have a little posse rolling around the Commonwealth, especially if you use other mods to give yourself more companions. So you end up with a pretty cool little guy. It is a pretty competent companion, too. They don't really hide. They go straight into danger, and they have a minigun that is pretty damaging. Aside from that, though, there's not a lot you can do with them. You can't give them different paint jobs or armors or weapons because they're not a person. So they make for an interesting little companion, but I imagine there's at least a few of you out there who have a character where this is the perfect little traveling companion for you. Maybe you're a techno character who likes to make a bunch of cool and goofy contraptions, or maybe you're a little bit more advanced. I'm not sure. Doesn't really matter. Definitely has a Wild Wasteland vibe that I think fits Fallout pretty decently. But on to the next mod, we're checking out a new weapon by Selekai known as the Flapjack Automatic Grenade Launcher. Now this thing is really, really cool. I believe it mostly makes use of assets from the Creation Club content grenade launcher, so it is going to require that Creation Club content. Now, it is free content, so if you have upgraded to Next Gen, you already have this. And if you don't have Next Gen yet, and you really, really, really want this, you can actually upgrade the Next Gen, download the new content, and then backdate your game so all of your mods still work, and you'll have the new installed content so that this can use what it relies on. Now, what this weapon actually is a Lewis gun shaped grenade launcher, by which I mean there's a pancake mag on the top of this thing that is a disc that rotates while you shoot, but it shoots out grenades, 40 millimeters to be specific, which means it does require the 40 millimeter ammunition from, like I said, that Creation Club content. Now, that being said, there's also another variant of this weapon that I didn't know existed. I didn't see it advertised a lot in the pictures, but there are two weapons in this mod. You do have the Flapjack grenade launcher, but you also have a heavy machine gun, which is the same sort of design, except it's shooting 50 cal bullets, and they come out quick. So this is a really interesting and unique heavy machine gun that is also really, really cool. They have pretty much all the same attachments, except that all of their barrels are a bit different. Like you get some thinner M2 style barrels for the machine gun, as well as a water-cooled barrel, whereas the grenade launcher has its own big bulky barrels for, 40 millimeter grenades. The attachments for this thing look really, really cool, as well as the animations from the Lewis gun mod work really well. Additionally, you have some interesting attachments like shields that have sights built in, as well as carry handles that you actually use. All of this is really neat and interesting, and it's such a unique gun that I think it fits Fallout very well. And playing with this, even though it looks completely different, gave me the same functionality as the grenade machine gun from Fallout New Vegas, and that made me really happy. That was arguably one of the funnest weapons to use. I know funnest isn't a word, and it just gives a feeling of euphoria that you can't really match with any other weapon, and this mod kind of provides that, and I like it a lot. So, if you're looking for a new heavy weapon for your character, this might be a good way to go. Additionally, this thing is integrated into the leveled list, specifically spawns on gunners after level 25, or you can purchase it from weapon vendors. On occasion, you may find trappers who use these as well, and those will use the machine gun too. Specifically, actually, the trappers have really, niche leveled lists that are different. So the gunners will just use this all around, but the trappers, if they're coastal, will use the machine gun, but if they're deeper in the woods, they'll use grenade launchers. I have no idea why it's specified like that, but that is, at the very least, really cool, but it is interesting. On top of all of that, if you're not a fan of level list integration, because, I don't know, man, I can't explain people anymore, you can craft it at the chemistry station in the miscellaneous section. I don't really prefer crafting for weapons, but if you like that, then it is here as an option. So there is that. There are also a couple of uniques in this mod that can be found scattered around the wasteland, though I will say you will want to check the coast, because that's where you're going to find most of them. Some of them even a little deeper in the water. Overall, a very fun and I would argue lore-friendly weapon. This thing is super, super cool, and I enjoy it quite a lot. So if you want a new explosive weapon for your game, this is a pretty good one to consider, but be careful because enemies are going to get a lot stronger if they have it. Up next, we have a new set of power armor that I enjoy a lot, even though it isn't my favorite design, and I'll get into that more specifically in a second. We're checking out the Elders T51 power armor by, once again, Princess Ares, who released 2 mods this month that are both of the utmost quality. The Elders power armor is a tweak on the regular T51 power armor designed for Elder Maxon with a unique look that is going to totally change the way that he and potentially the rest of the Brotherhood looks to you. It's going to, first of all, put Elder Maxon in power armor because he's not in the base game. He just kind of wears his big coat. And his power armor is going to come with some really interesting custom stuff, including a cloth wrap on one of the shoulders, a huge Brotherhood of Steel insignia on the chest made out of a giant metal cog, and a custom helmet that includes a really cool hood and a very interesting gold faceplate that is literally like an Art Deco face. If you can imagine that new season of Star Wars Ahsoka where they had that one stormtrooper with the gold face, it's that, kinda. So yeah. Now, what I mean by what I said a second ago is, quality-wise, this is done very, very well, and it has ideas that I think are incredible. I love the idea of adding cloth on the outside of armor. Like, it looks really, really neat. I also love the idea of, instead of making a completely new set of power armor that you have to write a bunch of lore for and figure out why it exists because power armor should be very rare, you don't have to do any of that when it's just an add-on to an existing armor. It looks like somebody's modified version of an existing set of armor, and then you don't have to worry about squat. It just works because it's somebody's personal modifications to something that already existed. That's why I think Raider power armors work so well, because they found a rig that they just wanted to throw a bunch of metal on until it protected them. It makes sense to me. And I like all of those aspects a lot. The only thing I don't like, and this is just purely down to personal preference, I personally wouldn't wear a power armor with a big gold face mask with pouty lips. That's not my thing. It could absolutely be your thing, though. That is purely opinion. I can at least say objectively this is a very high quality piece of armor, and it was done very well. I can understand the style and why somebody would like this. It's just not my taste, and that's fine. This actually released around the same time as our Brotherhood of Steel Paladin Sword, and as soon as I saw that they were making this, I knew that they would be a wonderful matchup, and I was so happy that they released within a pretty close time frame. So Brotherhood of Steel players had a cool armor and weapon to use together, and I have to say, they go together pretty dang well. I do like the overall style of this armor, that it's bringing more of a interesting medieval and nearly religious theme to the Brotherhood of Steel. I think that's a pretty cool way to go for them. It can go a little over the top sometimes, but I think that this one does a good job of kind of finding that line. even though it does take a pretty drastic stylized decision for the mask. Overall, I think the design is good, and I think it is definitely worth downloading if you like it. Now, that takes us to the last mod of this video, which almost has too much to talk about, but I'm going to do my best because I feel like I do have a lot to say about this mod. The last mod we're checking out is known as Alex's Copperhead Assault Platform by Alex Pow. Alex Pow has technically been doing mods for quite some time, but there's a lot of time between the releases. This new weapon is a pretty isolated mod, if I remember correctly, since their last mod was technically like 9 months ago, but their last real project, like an actual weapon release, was over 2 years ago. So not a lot of time modding in general, only 9 mods total, and most of them are really small CK edits. This mod is quite an undertaking for somebody at that level. It is a gigantic M4 AR-15 sort of complex that has, in my opinion, almost too much content. There are so many minor variations and attachments that you can choose. Almost too many attachments. It clutters up the workbench to an extreme. But if you're a fan of customization, then this will be heaven for you, because there is probably more attachments in this than maybe any other AR mod. That may not be true. I haven't played with all of the super tactical AR-15 mods, but this one has a lot to offer. And from an author who, once again, doesn't have a ton of mods to show for this level of commitment to a mod like this. There are like 9 or more different uniques, as well as just different variants of the base gun. Tons and tons of attachments and texture swaps. You can change a lot of the colors on each individual part, so you can really customize this thing to your liking. There are different styles of the weapon. There's some retro parts, but it also goes up to some pretty modern stuff that isn't my preference, like Hera arm style plasticky furniture. And this even includes a full suite of custom animations made by Alex, which again is pretty insane considering all the stuff I just said. It is a huge undertaking for somebody like this, and to be honest, it does show in the mod a little bit. You are definitely getting a lot more quantity here. You are getting a huge amount of stuff, but it is lacking very minor things, like some of the textures are a little flat, and some of the animations are a little crispy. For lack of a better term. But overall, I would not say that this is a bad mod. This is a very high quality mod based on a lot of the factors that went into it. It is just something to note that if you care more about how something looks versus how much there is, you'll have a decision to make between this and other AR-15 style mods. Now, like I said, there is a ton of stuff in here, including your typical Fallout New Vegas service rifle, up to a fully functional LMG, to a side-fed magazine SMG, to a super tactical Mark 11. There is just so much you can do. You can rechamber this thing to nearly every caliber. There's a shotgun variant, 12 gauge, 9mm, 5.56, 223, 308. There's a lot. I think there might even be 7.62. I truly don't remember because the attachment menu is pretty much overwhelming with how much stuff there is. You can even change out the different kind of carry handle that's on it, down to if you want it attached by the Picatinny, or if you want it fully integrated, or variations on each of those, plus iron sights, plus everything else. It's just insane. It's almost too much. There's even a fully functional M203 grenade launcher. Like, it's insane. It's added to the level list, so you'll find this thing all around the wasteland. Like I said, there's a ton of uniques, custom animations. The amount of stuff included in this is fantastic. It's really a little paradise if you just love new content. But once again, it just needs a little bit of polish. Besides that, though, it is fantastic. There's a lot of stuff. The only thing after that is going to come down to your style preference. For example, if I were ever to make a service rifle, I'm not promising anything, we would definitely try to stick with more of a retro Fallout-y approach. I wouldn't include certain attachments in it, but this has everything. So you could either not use the stuff you don't like or use everything. It's up to you, and it's just going to come down to user preference for this one. I wouldn't say that there is one reason that this should be picked over all the other ones. It's really going to come down to your personal load order and what you want for your game. That said, it is high quality. There is a ton of stuff here, and the amount of effort that went into this is clear. If you told me that from the last weapon mod 2 years ago that Alex had been working on this the entire time between those, I would absolutely believe that, because I feel like that's how much time it would take to release this. But if it's any less than that, then that's insane, and Alex has a strong future ahead of them. especially if they keep learning and improving their craft. That's pretty crazy. Overall, though, a very fun weapon, and on one of the most popular weapon platforms of all time. You now have another one in the running to choose from, or you could be like this crazy guy I saw on my Discord who has every single AR mod installed at the same time because they like variety. It's really up to you, though. Whatever you like for your game. The same goes for any mod in this video. They will all be linked down in the description below if you would like to check them out and decide of picking any of these to add to your current load order. And while you're down there, you could consider supporting the video. Drop a like on the video if you like it. That's really all I ask, to let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see, and keep engaged in the comments as well. If you want to tell me some mods that maybe I missed this month, maybe I just didn't catch them on the Hot Mods or anywhere else, please feel free to let me know. I'm sure that other people would love those recommendations as well. Lastly, if you would like to support me in a more direct way, you can check me out on Patreon, but as always, that's completely optional, not something you should worry about if you don't have the means to. Once again, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and with that, I will see you all in the next one. Peace!